Yes, I am back with another 50 question. This is Santosh Sahu and you are watching Sahu's tutorial. Earlier I have discussed 200 questions for the upcoming UGC NET exam on English literature, and in this YouTube video I will also discuss 50 questions, 50 multiple choice questions, most expected questions for the upcoming exam. So let's begin the questions with question number 201. Question number 201 says that Saran Kumar Limbale's The Outcast is a critique on the subjugation, humiliation, and identity crisis posed on the face of dash within the societal peripheries. Women, Dalits, tribals, both A and B. So Saran Kumar Limbale's The Outcast is a critique on Dalits. So B is the right answer here. So B is the right answer here. Okay, move to question number 202. Which of the following novels belong to the Victorian age in English literature? Mrs. Dalloway? No. Things Fall Apart? No. Great Expectation? Middlemarch. So these two novels belong to the Victorian age in English literature. So Great Expectation and Middlemarch. Where Great Expectation, the Philip Peeve is the main protagonist. It is a Bildungsroman novel. It is a Bildungsroman. Yeah, it is a Bildungsroman novel. And where Miss Havisham, Abel Magwitch, the Abel Magwitch, the benefactor, Abel Magwitch, hmm, the benefactor of Peep, and Estella. These characters appear in Great Expectations. So Great Expectations and Middlemarch, and it was written by Charles Dickens. So Great Expectation and Middlemarch, these two novels belong to the Victorian age. To question number 203. The Legend of Sleepy Hollow, which is written by Washington Irving. Okay, The Legend of Sleepy Hollow, which is set in 1790 in Tarrytown by Washington Irving, American novelist, is one of the earliest examples of the very popular American fiction. What is the genre of that particular work? Was it Gothic, epic, romance? None of the above. So The Legend of Sleepy Hollow is a kind of romance. So genre was romance. It was written by Washington Irving, one of the earliest popular American fiction. Move to 204. What is the name of Rip Van Winkle's faithful dog? Rip Van Winkle's faithful dog क्या था? उसका नाम क्या था? With whom Winkle often wanders into the mountains with. Okay, Wolf, Sock, Scobby. So it was Wolf. So Wolf was Rip Van Winkle's faithful dog. Move to question number 205. What kind of allegory in Edmund Spenser, the Fairy Queen, you will find? Political, moral, religious, all of them. So in Edmund Spenser, the Fairy Queen, you will get all these political allegory, moral, religious. So all these, so all of them is the right answer. Move to 206. Next question. Mamang Dai's novella, that is Legends of Pensam. The Legends of Pensam is essentially a recounting of the myths, legends, beliefs, customs, and rituals of the Adi tribe of Siang Valley. So Siang Valley which is in Arunachal Pradesh. What does the word Pensam mean? Forests, natives of Arunachal Pradesh, in between state, cloud. So here the Legends of Pensam means in between state, and it was written by whom? That is Mamang Dai. It was a 2006 novella, The Legends of Pensam. It is about the Adi tribe of Siang Valley, which is in Arunachal Pradesh, in the state of Arunachal Pradesh. So who is the narrator in Edgar Allan Poe's short horror story, that is Berenice? Who is the narrator here? Berenice is Edgar Poe. So the narrator is here Aegeus. Aegeus is the narrator of the Edgar Allan Poe's short story, which is a horrific story, that is Berenice. Edgar Allan Poe has also written the murder in the murder in the remorque. Okay. 208. Which poem of Amrita Pritam is about partition of India and who is also an elegy to the 18th century Punjabi poet? Okay. Which poem of Amrita Pritam is about partition of India and elegy to the 18th century Punjabi poet? Kagaz Te Canvas, Pinjar, Sunhead, Ode to Warissa. So this is an elegy on Ode to Warissa, and it is also about partition of India. So D is the right answer here. Okay. Move to 209. Who is the author of the Toba Tek Singh? Toba Tek Singh किसने लिखा था? सदत हसन मंतो, किशन चंद्र, प्रेमचंद, के अब्बास. So it was Toba Tek Singh was written by Sadat Hasan Manto. 210. Which novel of Rahintan Mistry was withdrawn from the University of Mumbai English syllabus after the complaints from Maharashtrian politician Aditya Thackeray? Such a Long Journey, A Fine Balance, Family Matters. Such a Long Journey was published in 1991, whereas Fine Balance was published in 1995. So it was such a long journey that was withdrawn from the University of Mumbai after the complaints was raised by the grandson of that is Bal Thackeray, that is Aditya Thackeray. So such a long journey, 1991. Move to question number. Look at here. When Aditya Thackeray, grandson of Bal Thackeray, then a final year art students of St. Xavier's College, complained to the vice chancellor, the PC, that the book contains abusive language about his grandfather, Maharashtrian community, that is such a long journey, was withdrawn from the syllabus of Mumbai University. Okay. Now, next question. Amitabh Ghosh refused the Commonwealth Writers' Prize for which novel? The Glass Palace, The Atlantic Land, Hungry Tide, Satellite. So it was the Glass Palace where the character Rajkumar Raha appears. And the Hungry Tide is setting is Sundarban. This is P.L. Leroy Fakir. The characters appears. So yes, and in Antique Land is set in Egypt. Egypt. Shadowlands, Tridip, study of Tridip. Okay, move to question number 212. Charles Dickens' A Tale of Two Cities. A Tale of Two Cities can be considered a sociological novel, Bildungsroman, regional, no, it is a historical novel. So, A Tale of Two Cities is a historical novel, and the famous opening line of it was the best of times, it was the worst of time, it was the famous opening line of A Tale of Two Cities by Charles Dickens. A Tale of Two Cities is a historical novel published in 1859. In the year what happened? Origin of Species. Origin of Species of that is Origin of Species by Charles Darwin, also published 1859. So by Charles Dickens, set in London and Paris before and during the French Revolution. The novel tells the story of the French doctor Manet, his 18-year-long imprisonment in the Bastille in Paris, and is released to live in London with his daughter Lucy, whom he had never met. The story is set against the conditions that led up to the French Revolution and the Region of Terror. So it is the story of Dr. Manet and his 18-year-long imprisonment in the Bastille in Paris. So it was the best of time, it was the worst of time. The opening line. Move to question number 213. Identify the essay by Poe that he begins by saying that English are far better than Italians, French, Chinese, Scotch, Dutch, Spanish, Russians when it comes to internal decoration. The philosophy of composition, Magel's chess player, the balloon box, the philosophy of furniture. So it is the philosophy of furniture. In that essay, he has said this, the philosophy of furniture. Move to question number 214. In which short story, Dutch Shashi Deshpande lent voice to the mythological character Kunti, that is from Mahabharata. Mahabharata presents the story of an Indian epic Mahabharata from her perspective. Here, Miss Sanjaya, the inner rooms, the day of the golden deer, the river sun. In which short story does Shashi Deshpande lend voice to the mythological character Kunti and present the story of an Indian epic Mahabharata from her perspective? So that is Hear Me Sanjay. So here A is the right answer. Hear Me Sanjay is the right answer. It is written by Shashi Deshpande. Shashi Deshpande. Identify the only play known to have been written by Edgar Allan Poe in which La Lake is an orphan, takes place in 16th century Rome. The Journal of Julius Rodman, The Lighthouse, The Politician, The Spy. So the only play written by Poe is the number C, that is The Politician. The Politician was the only play written by Edgar Allan Poe where La Lake is an orphan. Politician is the only play known to have been written by Edgar Allan Poe, but it was never complete. It was incomplete, unfinished work. The play is a fictionalized version of a true event in Kentucky, the murder of Solomon Pisar by Jeroboam O. Beauchamp in 1825. The so-called Kentucky tragedy became a national headline and attracted several fictional representations. So, however, chose to set his version of 16th century Rome. It was the setting was Rome. Poe wrote the play during his time with Sada literary messenger, and during some personal crisis. So, Politician is by Edgar Allan Poe, the only play written by Edgar Allan Poe, who is a young woman in Nathan Hawthorne's historical fiction, that is the Scarlet Letter. Its subtitle is a romance. The Scarlet Letter, its subtitle is a romance, who conceives a daughter through an affair and is forced to wear a scarlet A on her dress. She was forced to wear a scarlet at A on her dress, which tells she is an adulteress. Oh, Pearl, Mr. Seven's narrator. Who is that she? She is the Hester Prime. So she is Hester Prime. So she is Hester Prime. Okay, that is Nathan Hawthorne's. Scarlet Letter, a romance. Who marries Ellen in Hawthorne's 1828 novel Fanshawe. So that is Fanshawe, Walcott, Crombie, Malcolm. So in Ellen's Hawthorne's 1820 novel, Fanshawe married Walcott. So B is the right answer here. Next question. Nije musical, Jayanta Mahapatra, Tarudat, Kolatkar, Arun Kalatkar, Sejurunatri, Jejuri, Hunger, you have to match it. So Nije musical has there is a look at here. Nije musical is in the night of the scorpion, whereas Tarudat has our Sejurunatri and Arun Kalatkar had Jejuri, collection of poems, and Jayanta Mahapatra is the Hunger. Hunger. Okay. Move to question number 219. Who among the writers mentioned the below does not belong to young American movement? Who among those writers does not belong to a young American movement and sought independence from European standards and wanted to prove the superiority of Americans' own literary tradition? Hawthorne belongs, Melville belongs, William Cullen Bryant belongs, George Brentford, but John Stuart Mill does not belong. So John Stuart Mill is the right answer. Who does not belong? Who does not belong to the young American movement. Okay, it was John Stuart Mill. In Herman Melville's novel, there is Moby Dick. Its subtitle is The Whale. 1851. It is published in the year 1851. The whale, who is tattooed, who is the tattooed South Sea Islander, who is the tattooed South Sea Islander and cannibal with whom Ismail, the narrator, shares a bed in the inn. Captain Ahab, no. Quake, Bildad, Fund. So it is Quake. Quake is a cannibal, a South Sea Islander with whom the narrator of that novel, that is Moby Dick the Whale, that is published in the 1851, Ismail spent a night. This is Quake. Okay, now question number 221. What is the symbolism of the sepulchral city? Sepulchral city in the novel Hearts of Darkness by Joseph Conrad. Heaven, European civilizations, capitalism, and human madness. So sepulchral city represents all the European people. Okay, so B is the right answer here. European civilization. Sepulchral city represents European civilizations. So here, look at here. The white sepulchral city symbolizes all European civilization. The beautiful whites outside evokes the lofty ideas and justification that Europeans used to justify colonization, while the hidden hollow inside the specular, that is a subculture, hides the hypocrisy and desire for power and wealth that truly motivate the colonial powers. Next question. English Romanticism from 1790 to 1830. 1798 to or 1830, being a native development, was partly influenced by. So Romanticism was influenced by French Revolution. It is France. So France. Okay, that is a French Revolution was an event that seriously impacted the philosophy and writings of many Romantic writers and poets. The French Revolution was more than a time of liberating the oppressed and the dethroning of old ideas and prejudices that allowed the few wealthy to rule over the poor majority. It was a time, for example, that the Romantics viewed as apocalyptic, the fulfillment of Judeo-Christian prophecies. To these romantic artistic ideas, the French Revolution was a more than the transfer of political and social power. It was the emergence of morality that resembled the quiet, peaceful nature of man. So it is very much important. What is close heroic couplet? The two lines used by Ope is unique. Why it is unique? The two lines act as a stanza. It makes use of an end-stopped first line. Every line contains a caesura. All these three. Every line contains a caesura that was used by Pope. It makes use of an end-stopped first line. The two lines act as a stanza. So all the above is the right answer. Closed heroic couplet is by Pope. There. Okay, Dinah of Crossways it is written by George Meredith. Dinah of the Crossways is a novel by whom which was published 1885 and based on the life of the socialite and the writer Caroline Norton. Dinah of the Crossways is based on the life of the writer, that is Caroline Norton. So who wrote this? George Meredith, George Orwell, Thomas Hardy, D.H. So it is written by George Meredith. George Meredith has also written another famous novel, that is The Egoist. The Egoist, Dinah of the Crossways. Look at here. What is the subtitle of the ordeal of the? He has also written another. It was also written by George. It was also written by George Meredith. George Meredith. It was also written by George Meredith. Yeah, George Meredith. So, what is the subtitle of the Ordeal of the Richard? The Ordeal of Richard, the Ordeal of Richard Feverel. So, history of the history of father and son, a history of mother and son, history of father and daughter, a history of father and his son. No, so that is a history of father and son. Is the right answer? So, A is the right answer here. The subtitle of the Ordeal of Richard Feverel. This novel was also written by George Meredith. So, its subtitle is History of Father and Son. Okay, Arnold Bellen, look at here. Who has Arnold Bellen and J.B. Priestley has commented on that novel, that is that in Richard Feverel, what loosening of the bonds, what a renaissance. It was the announcer of a sort of dawn. It was the announcer of a sort of dawn, while acknowledging that it is a weak book full of episodic power and overloaded with it. So who told this? It is Arnold Bellent. Arnold Bellent has remarked on that novel, that Richard of Richard Feverel, that in that novel, what a loosening of the bonds, what a renaissance. It was the announcer of a sort of dawn, while acknowledging that it is a weak book. And on the other hand, J.B. Priestley has says that so far as English fiction is concerned, there can be no doubt that the modern novel began with the publication of the Ordeal of Richard Feverel, that was written by George Meredith. So J.B. Priestley has commented that so far as the English fiction is concerned, there can be no doubt that the modern novel began with the publication of the Ordeal of the Richard Feverel. Okay, move to next question. The Egoist, that is published in the year 1879, is a tragicomical novel by whom? George Meredith, George Orwell, Thomas Hardy. So Egoist was written by George Meredith. So A is the right answer here. George Meredith, Egoist. The novel that is the Egoist recounts the story of the Willoughby, and his attempts at marriage, and jilted by his first bride to be, and he vacillates between the sentimental Lycia Dale and the strong-willed Clara Middleton. Okay, now more importantly, the novel follows Clara's attempts to escape from her engagement to Sir Willoughby, who desires women to serve as a mirror for him, and consequently cannot understand why she would not want to marry him. Thus, the Egoist dramatizes the difficulty contingent upon being a woman of Victorian, upon being a woman in Victorian society, when women's bodies and minds are trafficked between fathers and husbands to cement male bonds. So this is why Willoughby, the Egoist, the protagonist is Willoughby Patton, and it's about his attempts at marriage. Okay, who wrote the Middle Age of Miss Eliot? So Mrs. Eliot means here it is Meg Eliot. It is Meg Eliot. So who wrote, that is who, the Middle Ages of Mrs. Eliot? George Meredith, no. Orwell, no. Hardy, no. So it was written by Angus Wilson. Angus Wilson has written the novel, that is the Middle Age of Mrs. Eliot. Okay, next question. Which of the following poems by Thomas Hardy marks which of the following poem by Thomas Hardy marks the end of the passing century? The end of the passing century. The minute before meeting, neutral tones, the darkling thrush, the oxen. So it was the darkling thrush. In the poem, the darkling thrush, Thomas Hardy marks the end of the passing century. Move to question number 229. Find out the unpublished work of Herman Melville, which was the story of Agatha Hatch Robertson. This particular work, which unlike many of his works, has a female central character, and it was rejected by Harper and Brothers publications. Okay, so Herman Melville, who has written the Moby Dick, what is the name of the unpublished work that was rejected by the publisher, that is Harper and Brothers. Okay, The Confidence Man and His Masquerade, Isle of the Cross, Fear or the Ambiguities, Redburn, his first voice. So the novel is Isle of the Cross. Isle of the Cross was the novel by Herman Melville. Herman Melville, that was rejected by the publisher Harper and Brothers. Look at here, the Isle of the Cross is a possible unpublished and lost work of Herman Melville, which would have been his eighth book, coming after the commercial critical failures of Moby Dick. Actually, Moby Dick when it was published, it was a commercial failure, but later it became very popular. Or Fair or the Ambiguities, Melville biographer, which Herschel Parker, who is the Melville biographer? Melville's biographer is Herschel Parker, suggests that the work, perhaps a novel, perhaps a story, was what had been known as the story of Agatha, completed around May 1853. He further suggests that finishing the work so that Melville had not, as many biographers argued, been discouraged and turned away from fiction. Unlike almost all of Melville's other fiction, this work has a female central character. So this work has a female center, that is Isle of the Cross, written by Herman Melville, which was not published. It was not published, unpublished work, and it was probably lost. And who is the biographer of Herman Melville? Herman Melville's biographer is Herschel Parker. Okay. The Man Who Lived Among the Cannibals, poems in the voice of Herman Melville and Melville, a biography, are the books written by whom? The Man Who Lived Among the Cannibals. Okay, so it is Laurie Robertson Laurent, Leon Howard, Herman Melville, Edgar Allan Poe. It is written by Laurie Robertson Laurent. Option A is the right answer. Next question. After 465 BC, playwrights began using a backdrop or scenic wall. After 463 BC, playwrights began using a backdrop or a scenic wall. Called, what is it? Skin, theatron, skenison, or scantia. It is skin. Okay, next question. No finer, greater gift in the world than that when man and woman possess their home, the two minds, two hearts that work as one, despair to their enemies, a joy to all their friends, their own best claim to glory. So these lines were told by whom? Odysseus, Medea. This is Tata Oedipus. No. So it is told by Odysseus. Okay, so A is the right answer. Next question. 2 2 3. Who consider old comedy as a good genre? Old comedy is a good genre for study by students of rhetoric. So Plato, no. Aristotle, Homer, no. It was Quintilian. Quintilian told that old comedy is a good genre for study by students of rhetoric. So it was told by Quintilian. Okay. Next question. Canonize, Marine, Lampeto Magistrate, Cynesis, and Lysistrata are the characters in which comedy by Aristophanes? The bards, frogs, wasps, no. So this is Lysistrata. It was about the Peloponnesian War between Peloponnesian War between Sparta, Greek and Sparta. Okay, so these are all Lysistrata. These are all written by Aristophanes, the father of comedy. Now move to question number 235. What is the meaning of the name Odysseus in Greek? What do you mean Odysseus? This is solemn food, travel, son of pain. And it was mean there is travel or son of pain. Son of pain is the meaning of Odysseus in Greek. Now question number 236. The comedic playwright Aristophanes wrote in the genre of old comedy. Okay, so Aristophanes wrote in the genre of old comedy, whereas the which playwright was an earlier pioneer of new comedy. Who is the pioneer of the new comedy? Menander, Sappho, Julian, Sophocles. So it was Menander was the earlier pioneer. The early pioneer of new comedy was Menander, and Aristophanes was written in old comedy, the father of comedy. Who wrote the essay? That is the march of the novel through history. The march of the novel through history. My father's bookcase. Amit Chaudhary, no. Ekra Manujan, no. Arun Joshi, no. So it was written by Amitabh Ghosh. Amitabh Ghosh has written the march of the novel through history. My father's bookcase. My father's bookcase, written by Amitabh Ghosh. Who wrote the novel? The Henderson and the Wren King. Henderson and the Wren King by Saul Bellow. J.D. Salinger, The Catcher in the Rye, no. Saul Bellow, Mark Twain, no. Honey James. So it was written by Saul Bellow. Saul Bellow has written Henderson the Wren King. Next question. Whose narrative poem by Lord Tennyson presents the story of a fisherman turned merchant sailor who turned into a merchant sailor who after a shipwreck is marooned on a desert island. The story of a fisherman turned merchant sailor who after a shipwreck is marooned on the desert island. Crossing the bar, no. Tithonus, no. Eno Garden, yes. So Eno Garden is the right answer. Next question. Who wrote the novel The Great Indian Novel? The Great Indian Novel is Shashi Tharoor. Yes. Amitabh Ghosh, no. So it was written by The Great Indian Novel was written by Shashi Tharoor. Shashi Tharoor. It is about the Mahabharata. The story of Mahabharata is told. Yeah. Look at here. The Great Indian Novel, satirical novel by Shashi Tharoor. First published by Viking Press, 1989. It is a fictional work that takes the story of Mahabharata, an Indian epic, and recast and resets in the context of Indian independence movement in the first 3 decades post-independence. Figures from Indian history are transformed into characters from mythology, and the mythical story of India is retold as history of Indian independence and subsequent history after the independence. Some critics have identified an element of subversion in the novel. So the Great Indian Novel is written by Shashi Tharoor, and the stories takes place stories of Mahabharata. Don Juan, the famous written by Lord Byron, is a specimen of heroic play. No, epic satire, yes. Epic narrative, no. So it is epic satire. So Don Juan is a Lord Byron is an epic satire, and it was dedicated to Robert Sadi. It was dedicated to Robert Sadi. So Robert Sadi is one of the Lake School, one of the proponents of Lake School of Poetry. So Don Juan is dedicated to Robert Sadi. It was written by Lord Byron. Okay, Don Juan by Byron is a satirical epic poem that portrays Spanish legend of Don Juan, who is actually the Spanish legend actually a womanizer. But in this work, you will say that the Don Juan is being seduced by women. So the opposite thing is portrayed here. As genre literature, Don Juan is an epic poem written in Otabarima. Otabarima was first used by Chaucer in the Book of Duchess. The Book of Duchess was first used by the Book of Duchess. Okay, which is written on the death of Blanche, that is the John the God, the friend of Chaucer, and Otabarima was for the first time used by Chaucer in the Book of Duchess. Okay, so Don Juan is also written in Otabarima. It is an epic poem, and it is that here Don Juan, a man easily being seduced by women. So at his death, 1824, Lord Byron had written 16 of 17 cantos, whilst canto 17 went unfinished. So it is an unfinished work here. So who is the American father of free verse? American father of free verse is Walt Whitman. Walt Whitman. So father of free verse in American literature is Walt Whitman. So B is the right answer here. Next question: the character Sampath Chawla appears in which novel of Kiran Desai? So Inheritance of Hulla Balo in Guhaba Orchard. So the Sampath Chawla appears in Hulla Balo in Guhaba Orchard. That is Sahakad, Punjab. That is Sahakad, Punjab. Set in Sahakad, Punjab. Sahakad, Punjab. And inheritance of laws is set in the Gorkhaland movement. It is in the background of Gorkhaland movement. Gorkhaland movement. Okay, Gorkhaland movement. Next question. Move to next. Whose English name was Orinoco after he was sold into slavery? So which English name was given to Orinoco? Orinoco को क्या नाम दिया गया था when he was sold into slavery? Yes. So Caesar, Antonio, Gerald, Orlick. So it was Caesar. So Orinoco was given the name Caesar when he was sold into slavery. So it was written by Afra Ben, the famous novel Afra Ben. So the character Caulfield appears in his novel The Catcher in the Rye, Franny and Julie. So Holden Caulfield is the protagonist of Catcher in the Rye by J.D. Salinger. Catcher in the Rye. So A is the right answer here. Okay, Catcher in the Rye is the right answer here. Oh, wait for it is a little bit hanging. Okay. So the character Holden Caulfield appears in his novel. It is Catcher in the Rye. Next question. Look at here. The Catcher in the Rye is a novel by J.D. Salinger, published in 1951. The novel details 2 days in the life of 16-year-old. 2 days in the life of 16-year-old Holden Caulfield after he has been expelled from the prep school. Confused and disillusioned, Holden searches for truth and rails against the funniness of the adult world. He ends up exhausted and emotionally unstable. A sensitive, rebellious 16-year-old Caulfield is expelled from the prep school. After to go home to his parents in New York City, he spends few days alone in Manthan. He relates his experience in there in vivid, insightful prose. So that is Holden Caulfield is the protagonist of The Catcher in the Rye, written by J.D. Salinger. Next question: who is the author of the novel The Witches of the East Week? The Witches of the East Week. He has also written the Rabbit series. The Rabbit series. Okay. Now look at here. That the story is set in the Rhode Island. That is Rhode Island. The story is set in the fictional Rhode Island town of Eastwick in the early 1970s. Follows the witches Alexandra Spofford, Jane Smart, and Suki Rugmart, who acquired their powers after their respective marriage. Now look at here. That his famous work is Rabbit series. This is a Rabbit Run, Rabbit Redux, Rabbit is Rich, Rabbit Dead, and the novella Rabbit Remember, which chronicles the life of the middle class everyman Harry Rabbit. As Rabbit is Rich and Rabbit at Rest are awarded with Pulitzer Prize. Rabbit is Rich and Rabbit at Rest. These two novels have been awarded with the prestigious Pulitzer Prize. Okay. So Rabbit series was written by John Updike. Okay, which writer published a book called Oedipus and Akhenaten, which made a comparison between the stories on the legendary Greek figure Oedipus and the historic Egyptian king of thieves Akhenaten. Writer Immanuel Belkowski, David Getterson. So it was Immanuel Belkowski has written a book called Oedipus and Akhenaten. So Immanuel Belkowski. Next question. Worlds in Collision is the first book written by whom? He had also written the book Ages in Chaos. Ages in Chaos, Worlds in Collision, Immanuel Velkovsky, Italo Calvino, David Gutterson. Well, no, it was Immanuel Velkovsky has written another two novels, that is Worlds in Collision or Ages in Chaos. Okay, and he has also written that is Oedipus and Akhenaten. Okay. Next question. The story begins with Nynaria, the wife of Heracles, retelling the story of her early life, her plight adjusting to the married life. She is now distraught over her husband's neglect family, often involved in some adventure. He really rarely visits them. She sends their son Hylas to find him, as she is concerned over prophecies about Heracles and the land is currently in and the land he is currently in. So identify the Greek play. The frogs, no, women of Trachis, Ajax and Tigon, no. So it is about women of Trachis. So B is the right answer here. Heracles appears in that novel, in the play. The Cure at Troy. The Cure at Troy by Simas Hini is based on which play of Sophocles? So the Cure at Troy is a retelling of Sophocles. Which play? Is it Oedipus Rex? No. Philocetes, Electra? No. Oedipus at Colonos? No. So it is Philostates is the one. It is the retelling of the Sophocles work play, that is Philotates. So the Cure at Troy was written by Simas Hini. Okay, thank you for watching this video. Stay tuned with my channel and don't forget to subscribe my channel, that is SAHOO's tutorial. More videos are coming soon. Stay tuned with my channel.